In this video, I'm going to share with you some of the best places to learn German New Medicine. When I first started, I was confused on where to get any information because there aren't a lot of books, especially in English. There's a few different websites to choose from. I got somebody in one Facebook group saying this thing and somebody in the other one saying, you got to learn from this person or that person. So I want to clear up some of the confusion and just give you an idea of where some of the best places to learn. I'm Mike the Heal Your Gut Guy, and I've been studying German New Medicine for about 3 or 4 years now. I primarily focus on helping people get better from gut issues, but I have a pretty strong knowledge of the foundations of German New Medicine. So there is no official school to learn German New Medicine from. And a good way to think about German New Medicine is, a lot of people confuse it with a pill or, something like that, but traditional Chinese medicine. It's a philosophy of how you're supposed to look at disease in the body. Homeopathy, like treats like. I don't ask me what that means. Allopathy means treat with the opposite. And then you have Ayurvedic medicine. At first, Dr. Hommer wanted to call it the new medicine because in a perfect world, this is how people should be doing medicine. German New Medicine is the new way to do medicine. Right now, the way to do medicine is allopathic medicine, which has great things about it. But if we could look at our conditions through the German New Medicine lens, we would be a lot more successful in helping people get better. So the most official website for German New Medicine is Amici di Dirk, and it's not a primarily an English website. So English is kind of its secondary, it's not its main priority. I don't even know if their main priority is German or Spanish or Italian. I don't even know what language the title's in, but it means Friends of Dirk. And Dirk Hommer was Dr. Hommer's son who passed away, and how Dr. Hommer started making his discoveries. So this right here is considered the GNM Bible, if you want to call it that. It was revised in 2023, just recently, but it was originally published in English in 2007. Now, this is a book that I think everybody should own, and it's really the basics of German New Medicine. It tells you the conflicts for all the different organs, or most of the organs. It gives you a lot of basic fundamental knowledge of German New Medicine that everybody needs to know. The one thing about this book is there's a lot of terms in it, like territorial conflicts, or a morsel and self-evaluation conflicts, and what the psyche is. In some places it explains them a little bit, but for the average person there needs to be a lot more explanation, and maybe that's beyond the scope of this book. But this is kind of like your handbook, your Bible of German New Medicine. And it's been recently updated. It's a great book. Everybody should own this. And you can get this on amicididirk.com. In English, they also have this little book right here, which is kind of like an intro to the 5 biological laws. And it also has some interesting stories about Dr. Hommer. It's a good book to have. Then we have the biological meaning of music from the German New Medicine point of view. I am not very music savvy, so I don't really understand much in this book, but the old patterns of music followed the 2-phase curve of a special biological program, and I guess music today isn't doing that, and that contributes to why we're so messed up today. But yeah, if you're into music, you can nerd out with this book. And it also comes with the healing song that Dr. Hommer made that he would play to people when they were going through, a strong healing phase and epicrisis, and it's supposed to really help with the symptoms. It's on the subconscious level. I guess it keeps the brain and the psyche calm. So if you click around amicididirk.com, you will stumble upon the Germanische Heilkunde website. Now, it's in different languages, and you can click around, and people have translated certain pages, but if you just go to the German section and then use Google Translate just to translate everything, things are still very understandable, and there is a ton of information on this website that I haven't even fully gone through. So this is a good resource. They also have an educational program. I'm not sure what the details are exactly, but there's a place to register and sign up, and then they need to interview you, and then it's like a whole 4-year program. I have not been enrolled in this because I don't know how to get into it. This is probably the most legit course. It's from Mich de Dirk. Here are some of Dr. Hommer's books that are not in English. This is One Against All right here. That's what it translates to. He has a book on breast cancer. Krebs, that's cancer in German, and it means disease of the soul or illness of the soul. This other book right here is Cancer and All Other So-Called Diseases, something like that. This is The Legacy of the New Medicine, Volume 1 and Volume 2. I've read translated versions of these books. Just Google translated versions of these books. I'll show you how you do that later. And it's like a lot of case studies and just basic German New Medicine information. Good stuff. These are documents of German New Medicine, I guess you could call them, and there's 2 of them that I know of. There's the summary of the New Medicine, and that has been translated into English. It's very hard to get your hands on. And then this is other document on the right here is documents he submitted to Tübingen University in 1994 to try to make German New Medicine official. I think I've looked through both of these, and they're very similar to Legacy of the New Medicine, if I remember correctly. So a quick timeline so you can kind of understand the evolution of German New Medicine. So it all started with the tragic death of Dirk Hommer, which is Dr. Hommer's son. And that was in 1978. And there's actually a documentary on Netflix that I think is in Italian, but I don't know if they dubbed it into English, but there's subtitles. And kind of explains the whole drama behind that. And we don't get to hear too much about Dr. Hommer in that. You get to see him a little bit, but you get to learn about the craziness of, I think he was like the Prince of Italy, and he accidentally, recklessly shot Dirk. It's a crazy story, but you can learn more about it in this documentary. And the next year that Dr. Hommer got diagnosed with testicular cancer, and he's like, I know this is from the trauma of losing my son. And it wasn't until 1981 where Dr. Hommer started to discover the first biological law of German New Medicine. There's 5 altogether. In 1987, he wrote the book Cancer, Disease of the Soul. And then in 1999, Legacy of the New Medicine books were written. And then in 2007, we got this bad boy right here. So German New Medicine is still really young in the English-speaking community. And it's really kind of started to really take hold about 5 years ago. Like people started posting about it on YouTube, and it's been starting to take off, and we have some good websites around. But it's been in German and Italian and French and some other languages for a lot longer. So the way that I read books in other languages is I buy them, and then with an app on my phone, I take pictures of all the pages, and then it converts it to text. It puts it in a Word document. I upload it to Google Docs, and then you hit a button that translates the whole document. And yeah, it's not perfect, but if you know the basics of German New Medicine, it makes pretty good sense. So we have LearningGMcom. This is an amazing resource that I use a lot, and Carolyn Marklin is the creator of LearningGMcom. She was kind enough to teach me the basics of German New Medicine a few years ago to get started. But her website is a great resource, and a lot of the pages have been translated into other languages. There's GHK, which stands for Germanic Healing Knowledge, and the word Heilkunde, and I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, sorry everybody, that is a German word we don't have in English, and it's supposed to mean like healing knowledge. I guess that's like the closest translation you could get to. Phil Haar worked very closely with Dr. Hommer. This academy right here, they translated Dr. Hommer's work through the lens of Phil Haar. And they have courses and a lot of content there you could use. Here is Isidora Leitner's website. She has courses from basic to clinician, so very advanced. She was part of the 2023 revision of this book. I hear a lot of people say good things about her course. There are a few YouTube channels that have a lot of German New Medicine information on them. Dr. Melissa Sell, she also has a huge presence on Instagram. We have Dr. Alvin De Leon. We have Andy Lockmere's YouTube channel. We have Freyas Podcast of German New Medicine stories. Now, there are a few other English German New Medicine books that aren't written by Dr. Hommer, just written by other people. But I just recently started reading like books in other languages. And the first one that I got my hands on was from Claudio Trupano. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. But his first book, it's actually in English. It's called Thanks, Dr. Hommer. And the great thing about this book is it helps you see things from the biological survival perspective. It goes into more detail on like what a morsel is, what a territorial conflict is, and what a self-evaluation conflict is, and it gives you like a lot of case studies and examples. He made a second book called Grazie Ancora, Dr. Hommer, so it's like a follow-up. That's another really good book, and he has I think he has 2 or 3 other books as well, but if you just search his name on Amazon or on Google, his books will pop up. And in order for us English speakers to read these books, you got to buy these books, take pictures of the pages, and then upload them to Google Docs, and then run them through the translator. These are some other German New Medicine books that I haven't had an opportunity to read yet. Just type this into your search bar in Google, and some more Italian German New Medicine books will show up. This is a French book by Dr. Robert Guinea. From what I hear, he spent a ton of time with Dr. Hommer. My girlfriend started reading this book and is in absolute love with it. I haven't had time to dig into it yet, but it is called What If Disease is Memories of Evolution? So that's a pretty cool title. This is a German book by Bernard Weigering. Sorry, again, I'm American. I can't pronounce anything. This book is called Das Zwei-Wolf Phenomenon. So the second wolf phenomenon, or the beta wolf phenomenon. And it explains, it does a really good job of explaining the territorial conflicts. And the word territorial, to me, doesn't explain well enough like what this new part of the brain is doing. It explains like why we have 2 genders. Like that seems like a lot of work, to have 2 genders. Why didn't evolution just keep doing like the cell division thing, or just like asexual reproduction? Why are there 2 sexes? We both serve different survival roles. The masculine survival role is to go out of the territory, protect the territory, claim new territory, whereas the female survival role is to nurture the kids, nurture the territory, nurture the home. This book is just all about the territorial part of the brain. It's keeping track of our pecking order within the social groups. And German New Medicine is in other languages. It's in Spanish. There's a big Spanish community. There's a big Portuguese community. There's a big Russian-speaking community. There's also a big English book out there, and it's been translated into many languages. It's Bjorn's book, The Psychic Roots of Disease. And this book is a great resource. So one of the biggest complaints that I hear about German New Medicine is that there isn't enough information on how to resolve the conflict. I dug through Dr. Hommer's books, Legacies of the New Medicine and Disease of the Soul, and in some of these books, there's like a little chapter where it's just like, I can't give advice because everybody's in a different situation. They're in a bad marriage, or, someone's going to need different advice depending on their conflict. Like, I don't know how I could possibly write a book on conflict resolution. I've seen some Italian books really gravitate towards the Enneagram personality types to kind of help people resolve their conflicts. In the Portuguese community, I've seen people look into your genealogy and like family trauma, like trauma from your grandparents. In my 13-day protocol, the way that I tackle it is from a very simple perspective. At all times, our brain is trying to keep us alive. So we experience positive emotions when we believe something is going to increase my survival, and we experience negative emotions when I think something is going to hurt my survival. And when we use that idea as our anchor, we don't get lost down these rabbit holes. What complicates what I just said is our survival need to belong to the tribe. Because no human, or not many animals, can survive by themselves. They need the pack to help them survive. Even me, I'm as introverted as they come. All the stuff you see in this room, this was made by this complicated microphone right here was made by an army of people. We need other people to survive. So in my 13-day protocol, I spend a little bit of time on the German New Medicine stuff, probably about 25%. And, that's needed. So you're not freaking out when you have symptoms. But I feel like the average person, their brain is just so worn out after learning the basics of German New Medicine. They don't have enough gas left in the tank to learn about how the psyche operates and the basics of how a traumatized mind operates. It does some weird things. We need Dr. Hommer's work in order to understand how the psyche functions, but there isn't enough information in Dr. Hommer's books to really get a good idea of how the psyche operates. Maybe it was in his courses, that few courses that he did in German, but I did not see that in his books. It just was not there, or there was only a very little bit of information. What I really focus on my course is just basic operating principles of what our brain and what our psyche is doing, and what what trauma does to the brain, and how to rewire that. Because at the end of the day, we're nothing but a collection of memories. And if we work off of those simple principles, it's a lot easier to fix our gut, fix our brain, and stop these conditions. So unfortunately, there's a lot of division in the GNM community, and I'm not going to pick sides, but don't be too discouraged by if somebody's in your face being you can only learn from this person. I have many books that are from before the time of Dr. Hommer, where it talks about how a traumatic event started somebody's gut disease. This book is from the 40s, and this book is from the 70s. A lot of these books actually go over how to treat the patient, what to do to the patient in order to get these people better. Dr. Hommer made a ton of discoveries, the 2 phases, what these organs do, and the conflict active and the healing phase and the epicrisis, the ectoderm and the territorial conflicts, 100%. That's amazing, the work that he did there. So before the 70s, it wasn't outrageous to say that gut disease is caused by a traumatic event. There was actually a lot of people already saying that. So you can learn a lot from these books, especially when you look at it from the German New Medicine perspective. All right, if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. I have a free version of my 13-day protocol. It is down in the description, and it gives you instant access to a 2-hour video where I just kind of go over gut health from the German New Medicine perspective. What are your favorite German New Medicine books and learning resources? Leave those down in the comments. I'd like to make this video a good resource for someone learning German New Medicine, so let's put some good information down in the comments for them.